we're obviously gonna get to Mallory McMorrow quitting. I can't be flexing too hard on this shit. I can't be flexing too hard because, like, obviously we don't want Mallory McMorrow to be like, these guys are all sexist. They, like, sexistly were upset that I called them terrorists. You know what I mean? That's just not how it works. Unfortunately, in this day and age, you just have to kind of eat it if someone calls you a terrorist. And then if they genuinely turn around and go, oh, you didn't appreciate me calling you a fucking terrorist and connecting you to an anti-Semitic hate crime attempt, well, guess what? Then you're a fucking misogynistic piece of shit. And then everyone on MS Now will sincerely advance that agenda. Like, they will genuinely be like, yeah, if you don't want to be called a terrorist as a Muslim man in the United States of America, well, if you have an issue with that, you're a fucking sexist piece of shit. You fucking Bernie, bro. You fucking Bernie, bro. That's literally what has happened these past couple of weeks. It's very cool. It's very cool that we're doing that. You're already getting some flack that your fans are shitting on her while you're begging to get an endorsement. It's already happening, sir. Yeah, I think people should be excited that I'm offering charity and grace and understanding to a person who literally lit her own campaign on fire by unironically engaging in rank Islamophobia. You know? I just don't think she's going to endorse Abdul, but it is what it is. Dude, you're a surrogate. Please be smarter. I'm not a surrogate. I'm an independent content creator. I'm not a surrogate. I'm an independent content creator. I have my own opinions. I have my own mentality. Okay? I have my own mindset. Not affiliated with the Democratic Socialists of America. Not affiliated with the Abdul campaign. Just a random guy. Okay? I don't know why you guys think I'm a surrogate. I'm not the father. I'm the father that stepped up. All right, we got the coveted you Mitch voter endorsement, which is cool. Beef ended with you Mitch voter. Okay, election Twitter is back on. I no longer have smoke for the autists, for the election Well, some of them I do have smoke for, because some of them, some of the election Twitter, you know who I'm talking about, especially the ones in Europe. Some of them are such fucking weirdos. I don't understand, but you Mitch voter is back on our good side, folks. Officially, it's official. We're burying the hatchet. We're burying the hatchet with you Mitch voter. Okay? We love you Mitch voter. You Mitch voter is not from Michigan, so he can't even vote for Abdul al-Sayed, by the way, which I feel kind of fraudulent. Like, I feel kind of lied to about that when I found out that he's from fucking New Jersey. At least he was doing work for Claire and Daria Liza's campaigns. He was door knocking for them, which I think is cool. But this motherfucker actually votes in New Jersey. Okay? So yeah, you Mitch non-voter, more like. It's crazy. He went to school in Michigan, though. It doesn't matter. You're not a voter in Michigan. Change your name to Rutgers voter, okay? What gives? You know what I mean? Like, change your name to Rutgers voter, you Mitch voter. You are not in Michigan any longer. You're in New Jersey. Yeah, change it to Scarlet Knight voter or some shit. What gives? So let's be real. It's a devastating day for girl power. Well, there's some girl power, girl boss victories here, but some major girl boss defeats and losses. Obviously, let's get started with Mallory McMorrow. So Mallory McMorrow, who's like a toy designer, toy car designer, and also real car designer at some point, from California, moves to Michigan, decides she's going to run for Senate. And at first, she gets the Warren nod, she gets the Warren endorsement, and things are looking fine for her, I guess. Obviously, Abdul al-Sayed is like the true progressive, the true Bernie-crat in this race, comes out with a Bernie endorsement, and then he's running against the establishment machine behemoth that is Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens is the AIPAC stooge in this race. There are millions, tens of millions of dollars that AIPAC and all these other outside, corporate PACs, super PACs are dumping at the behest of Haley Stevens. Pretty much everyone that understands politics knows exactly what this race is shaping out to be. But I was a little worried, partially because the race was a sleepy one for some weird reason, despite its national significance. This is a purple state. It went to Trump, even though on the same ballot, a CIA agent, a cookie cutter neoliberal, was still capable of defeating Mike Rogers. That's how bad Mike Rogers is. He's running again. His name is going to come up. He's running again now, this time against whoever wins the Democratic primary on August 4th, which I hope is going to be Abdul El-Sayed, our boy. But yeah, somewhere a couple months ago, Abdul El-Sayed gives me a phone call. He says, Hassan, we've done a bunch of stuff together. You know, you've come to Dearborn. We've worked out together. You fundraised for me. I want you to stump with me. And I said, sure. I've never done that before, but it's probably not any different than, you know, doing a regular live stream, right? And boy, was I wrong. At that point, there's not a lot of attention on this race, but Abdul has the fundamentals, right? And I knew that if people started hearing about this guy, if they started hearing about what his policies were, what his background was, right? If they started seeing him more, they would love him. They would fall in love with this guy because he's a fantastic candidate, right? Rhodes Scholar, doctor, worked in public health, wrote a book about Medicare for All, ran on a pro Medicare for All gubernatorial run in 2018, right? So he's fantastic. He's got the solid fundamentals. He's a real fighter, right? And I knew that if the people of Michigan found out more about him, because the issue was his campaign and the race is not getting a lot of national attention. If people in Michigan found out more about him, they would love him. They would absolutely vote for him. Turns out that was the case. So when Abdul asked me to stump for him, I was like, sure, let's do it. Who gives a shit? And immediately I started getting phone calls. Adam Wren of Politico, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. They're like, what are you doing? Can we get a comment? Can we get a comment? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Turns out stumping for a candidate and going and doing a rally for a candidate is a lot different in the eyes of mainstream media than fundraising for a candidate, having a candidate on your broadcast, asking them questions, asking them about policy questions, because mainstream media finds that to be very different. They started attacking me. They started attacking Abdul. They were like, why is Hassan Piker, this dangerous, rabid anti-Semitic terrorist, coming to Michigan? Why is Abdul doing this? Third Way, which is responsible for the Democratic Party's neoliberalism for the last 3 to 4 decades, was very aggressively coming after Abdul, and they thought the best possible way to do this is by connecting Abdul to someone like myself, not dissimilar to what the Andrew Cuomo campaign had done. Andrew Cuomo, if you recall, in the last couple of months, or the last couple of weeks, rather, leading up to his failed mayoral election, decided to tune up the Islamophobia and attack Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani also is Muslim, right? And part of the ways that they were trying to terror jacket Zohran Mamdani was by connecting him to me. Hassan said America deserved 9/11. You won't disavow him. You won't disavow him. You won't criticize him. You won't attack him. You've been on his broadcast. You love him. He's your best friend. It didn't work. Zohran won that race because most voters did not give a shit. Most voters are like, I don't care. He wants fast and free buses. I like that. That's a good idea. He wants a rent freeze. I want that. That's a good idea. But of course, these guys are trying it again. And they tried it again. And it not only failed, but it actually ended up backfiring so spectacularly. Okay? Now, this is important because Mallory McMorrow at the time was trying to find the Goldilocks zone. She was endorsed by Warren. She was trying to say that she's a pragmatic progressive, that Abdul El-Sayed is too pie in the sky. His ideas are maybe a little too radical. He's too Muslim. He's too invested in Medicare for all. You should vote for me instead. That's what people need. That's what the people of Michigan would vote for. And I think in that process, that triangulation caused her to lose fans on both sides. And her support from the progressive side, the Warrenites that actually do think Elizabeth Warren is like a far better candidate than Bernie Sanders. And there are still some people out there, right? Basically, the progressive wing, the true progressive wing, saw Mallory McMorrow's attacks against me and against Abdul El-Sayed and realized that she's not going to be the true, anti-Israel candidate, that she's not going to be the true progressive candidate in this race. This kind of centrist triangulation does not work anymore. Okay? It doesn't work. Matt Bernstein interview was a turning point. Brother, the Matt Bernstein interview I'm sure helped. But I think if you've been in this community long enough, you've seen literally the turning point. Her campaign cratered straight up after the attacks. And she made a bunch of bad mistakes in the process. That was another big moment. This interview was a big moment, certainly. I think Emma and Matt did a fantastic job of like trying to identify what was her. We were being pretty nice to her until then. Dog, we are marginal in this. Okay, you're silly. Us being mean to someone, you think that changes anything? Are you crazy? Get over yourself. I can certainly get over myself. Even if I am a part of this story, you should be able to get over yourself as well. No. Here's how it starts. The turning point is when she decides to slander Abdul and come after myself and be like, oh, Hassan's a terrorist. Hassan is like Nick Fuentes. And then she says, maybe he's not like Nick Fuentes, whatever. Right? So that's when the turning point begins. Right after that, because she went with the third way. She went to Jewish Insider, an AIPAC propaganda piece, right? She went to the Jewish Insider and she gave a sit-down exclusive interview to Jewish Insider. Okay? That was huge. That was a huge mistake. Okay? That was mistake number one, perhaps the most devastating mistake that she made. Then she did the cringe video where she was dancing at the convention in Michigan. And people were like, ugh, this is lame, whatever. Okay? That was mistake number two. Mistake number three was when she decided to call into question Abdul al-Sayed's medical credentials on whether or not he should be able to call himself a doctor. And that was really interesting because I've never seen such bad instincts from a campaign in my life. First, doing the failed attack and saying like Abdul al-Sayed is like a terrorist because he's with another terrorist, a random fucking Twitch streamer no one gives a shit about. You all of a sudden look wishy-washy. You're not going to get the pro-Israel crowd on your side because you've already said stuff that's like somewhat critical of Israel. But then now you're losing the critical of Israel crowd as well because you're attacking a prominent critic of Israel all of a sudden, right? So that was a huge mistake. But then she doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on that mistake by then highlighting the salience of Dr. Abdul al-Sayed's medical credentials. It was the dumbest attack of all time. You could have called him like short or something, or that he couldn't grow a full enough beard, and that would have been a better attack than fucking coming after a guy who's a Rhodes Scholar and a public health professional in Detroit saying, hey, I don't think you're credentialed enough. That motherfucker doesn't have one but two different degrees. Two. He's doctor times two. And you brought that up for no reason. It blew my mind. It's like saying, Dr. Abdul al-Sayed, can he bench press 3 plates? Actually, let's take a look. It's like, yeah, he can. Why did you bring that up? Now everybody knows he can definitely do that. Maybe a lot of people didn't know he could do that beforehand, but now they do. You brought this up. So that was a huge, huge part of this as well. And then she did this interview with Matt Bernstein and Emma Vigeland. And in that interview, it was very clear that she was like wishy-washy. But it was just a sequence of unbelievable mistakes. And she just could not hold it together, right? This is why her campaign fell apart. Because Mallory McMorrow could have been an unassuming cookie cutter progressive in any other race, in any other time frame. But she chose to run against a far more progressive candidate when people are looking for change candidates. Okay? She chose the perhaps worst time for people who triangulate their messaging. Right now, people are looking for moral conviction. They're looking for real fighters. And you, unfortunately, tried to constantly triangulate your messaging to find this Goldilocks zone. And that comes across as insincere because it is insincere. At least with Haley Stevens, you know where she stands. Whoever's given her money is her master, whether it be Israel, whether it be Big Pharma, whether it be these corporate PACs. That's who she will serve. With Mallory McMorrow, she tried to play both sides, and she hammered support from both sides. This is important. This is I'm not saying this is as someone who is biased in the direction of Abdul al-Sayed. I promise you. Okay? I promise you, this is not coming from a place of bias for Abdul. This is straightforward analysis that I would conduct on this race, whether I was, in the tank for Abdul or not. That's it. Well, you are, but let's pretend this is objective law. No. Of course I am. I'm not hiding that. I'm not hiding that at all. But I also can remove myself from the equation and explain to you why this failed. Okay? Putting myself back into the story, it's easy for me to sit here and be like, come at the king, best not miss. Oh my God. Big dangerous moment for you, right? I could just make this all about myself. I'm not. I am talking about the way that this is perceived by normal people, because I know that most normal people don't know who the fuck I am. At most, maybe they know me as a guy who criticizes Israel. Okay? I know where I stand in the American political the American political arena. Her making this decision only shows exactly what kind of her deciding to do this, her deciding to attack someone like myself and Abdul, and then be like, oh, you guys are terrorists, you guys are far too comfortable with terrorism, you're anti-Semitic. What's more important for the voters and what's more important for my analysis there is that this is her decision-making process, that she made such a spectacularly stupid decision, because if anything, the people who know who I am are going to look at that and go, oh, you're fake, you're phony. And most people don't know who I am, and they're going to go, why the fuck are you talking about this? Wait a minute, did you just call this guy anti-Semitic? Let me look into his positions. Oh, that's right, he's anti-Israel, and that's why you're doing that. Fuck that. I've heard that many times over. I'm not supporting you. That's exactly what happened. Okay? Oh my God, I'm putting the suit back on. Everyone is going crazy. Everyone's going crazy. Oh man, rough day for the Mexico jersey. I'm La Raza, but we're playing against the best player in the world today. I don't give a fuck. All right, there it is. You did this. You did this, mijo, mi gente. All right, gun control is back. All right, so do we have a playlist, by the way? Guns are holstered. You look like a golf cart salesman. Good. Okay, so apparently there's a New York Times article on this as well. Of course. McMorrow suspends campaign. Senate bid in Democrats' heated Michigan primary. Let's listen to it.
McMorrow suspends Senate bid in Democrats' heated Michigan primary. This article is by Reed J. Epstein and read by an automated voice. Mallory McMorrow, the Democratic Michigan state senator who tried to cut a middle path between moderate and left-wing rivals, suspended her campaign for the U.S. Senate on Sunday, amid poor polling numbers and fundraising that did not keep pace with her two main rivals. Today, I'm announcing that I am suspending my campaign for United States Senate, Ms. McMorrow said in a video posted on social media. She thanked her volunteers, donors, and staff for their support. Ms. McMorrow's departure leaves Michigan's Democratic Senate primary a two-way contest between Representative Haley Stevens, a moderate, and Dr. Abdul el-Sayed, a progressive former public health official. Ms. Stevens is backed by Senator Chuck Schumer of New York and pro-Israel groups, while Dr. el-Sayed has endorsements from Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
no Hasanabi mention. What the fuck?
Ms. McMorrow did not make an endorsement in her announcement Sunday, but said she would support whoever wins the primary. Ms. McMorrow's argument to Michigan voters was that they did not have to choose between Ms. Stevens, a four-term congresswoman with deep ties to the party establishment, and Dr. el-Sayed, whose left-wing views have made some Democrats nervous about his ability to win a general election. He lost the 2018 Democratic primary for governor to Gretchen Whitmer, who subsequently won two general elections by wide margins. We are being presented right now with what I believe is a false binary choice between the status quo in Haley Stevens and a candidate who has never won a campaign before, Ms. McMorrow said in a CNN interview last month. Michigan Republicans are set to nominate former Representative Mike Rogers, who narrowly lost the state's Senate race in 2024. The Senate seat is being vacated by Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat who is not seeking a third term. The primary is August 4th. Dr. El-Sayed praised Ms. McMorrow in a statement after her announcement. Senator McMorrow showed what it looks like to fight back against a politics that rigs the system against too many of us, he said. While we have policy disagreements, I never questioned whether Senator McMorrow would fight for a better America for my daughters and hers. Ms. Stevens also commended Ms. McMorrow. Mallory McMorrow has been an important voice, both in this race and in the state Senate, for policies that benefit Michigan's children and families, and I look forward to working with her in the future to build a stronger Michigan for everyone, she said. Holding Michigan's Senate seat is critical to Democratic hopes of winning control of the...
Okay, I'll just read the rest of it, whatever. Holding Michigan's Senate seat is critical to Democratic hopes of winning control of the chamber in November's midterm elections. The party must retain the Senate battleground it holds now and flip at least 4 Republican-held seats to seize a majority. Okay? Long adept at cable news interviews and creating viral moments online, Ms. McMorrow began to bleed support in public polling after she condemned Dr. El-Sayed for campaigning in March with Hassan Piker, the left-wing streamer who has defended Hamas and called Israel an apartheid state. Remember, whenever the New York Times used to quote me back in the day, they would say, he has accused Israel of doing a genocide. Now they've moved on to, he has called Israel an apartheid state in air quotes. This is a New York Times style guide decision. I'm not the only one who calls Israel an apartheid state. Every single humanitarian rights organization also calls Israel an apartheid state. So does the United Nations. So does the ICJ. And so does the ICC. So I'm not alone in this. You're making it seem like I just came up with it on my own. Okay? Objectively true. Objectively true analysis. Objectively true assessment. Anyway, the move backfired quickly. Her remarks helped burnish Dr. El-Sayed's claim that he was the lone progressive candidate in the race and the one most willing to criticize American funding of the Israeli military. And she won little support from moderate voters and millions of dollars of pro-Stephen advertising poured into the state from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee and other groups. 5 super PACs have spent a combined $32 million to back the Congresswoman, including 2 groups tied to AIPAC. Yeah, you moved up from podcaster to streamer. Yes. So at least they didn't call me controversial, I guess. They just said the left-wing streamer, so that's good. We're moving up in the world. But yeah, this is literally not only just in the paper of record, but this is true. Like, there were numerous pollsters, including Mitchell, a right-wing pollster, that ironically pointed to this decision that they made. Obviously, it's not because I'm a super popular person. I need you guys to understand something. When I bring this up, I'm not saying, oh, she came after me and I'm so goddamn popular that everyone in Michigan loves me and they were mad at her. That's not the point. That's not what happened. That's not the truth. Okay? I need you to understand that. That's not the truth. Okay? Her doing this, just like the New York Times is correctly pointing to, destroyed her credibility in the progressive side. Okay? That's it. Her positioning herself, her investment in trying to win both sides, trying to find the perfect Goldilocks zone of progressive, but not so progressive that it's scary, okay? That made her look wishy-washy, inconsistent, and a politician at a time when people are not looking for politicians, they're looking for fighters. One big difference between the latest progressive edge candidates and ones in the past is that they're getting decent margins with Black and Latino voters. McMorrow flopped for the same reason Warren and Pete did. Your base can't be fully white in the modern Democratic Party. I cannot believe this. Zaid Jilani with a correct take. I mean, he loves Abdul. So he actually does have decent analysis on the Abdul stuff. Zaid Jilani, I can't wait for him to make like 8 wrong takes about wokeness and culture warrior shit now after this one rare W. Zaid is pretty good. What do you mean? Yes, I don't mind Zaid's opinions. I just think that he is such a culture war obsessive. I hope he subtweets your ass. No, he doesn't. He also doesn't even reply to me usually when I will straight up reply to him. It's so funny because he is an anti-culture war warrior, right? He's always been that guy. And there's a couple of these guys that do not realize that they have become what they hate. Because they were low-key, somewhat on the correct side if their criticisms, just like mine, was that like, oh, this hyper focus on like hollowed out idpol is silly, stupid, voters don't like it. Like, that's correct. But these guys are so obsessed with it that they think anything and everything is hearkening back to the culture wars. And their hyper focus on hating idpol has turned them into the same culture war obsessives that they previously used to criticize. Unsurprisingly, Dana Nessel, Michigan Attorney General, has endorsed Democrat Haley Stevens for U.S. Senate. She is another pro-Israel person. Obviously, she very famously and very controversially tried to prosecute student demonstrators, if you recall. So that's not surprising to me at all. So you're going to see the dominoes fall. You're going to see a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of people that are in positions of power actively go and actively push for Haley Stevens because they're just like unbelievably pro-Israel. She's the one who also smeared Rashida Tlaib. Yes, she's the one who lied about Rashida Tlaib. Shannon Watts, our favorite, endorsed Haley Stevens as well. Not surprising to anyone, obviously. Has Big Gretch weighed in? I hope she doesn't, because that's going to be a tough nut to crack. What gives? It's really going to be a righteousness versus piss real election? Yes. Big Gretch is super unpopular right now because of the data centers? Yeah. So, here's the thing. If Mama Gretch wants to win a little bit more shine as a relatively progressive governor, she probably will stay out of this election, or better yet, endorse Abdul El-Sayed. I don't think she's going to do that. Okay? I don't think she's going to do that. So the best we can hope for is that she doesn't endorse Haley Stevens. I just don't think any of these people that are in positions of power that aren't true leftists, true left populists are going to do the right thing. I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised by McMorrow, by Big Gretch, but I certainly think that my expectation is that they'll rat fuck, and I'll be very pleasantly surprised if they don't rat fuck, and I would be unbelievably surprised if they turn around and actually endorse Abdul El-Sayed. That's my assessment, okay? That's where I'm at. I don't think the main reason Mallory dropped in the polls was her attacking you or Abdul. I think running as a diet progressive was never going to work, especially without Bernie or AOC endorsements, so why would anyone vote for her over Abdul? No, the pivot point did come from the attack, because she was doing all right. She was never endorsed by AOC, and neither was Abdul, but she was doing all right in the polls. She was actually pretty close to Abdul. She was actually beating Abdul. Abdul was in third place. Abdul El-Sayed was in third place in a relatively close race between Haley Stevens usually being in first place, or sometimes Mallory McMorrow being in first place. It was a three-way statistical tie at best for Abdul, but he was literally in third place in every single one of those polls. Okay. And then Haley Stevens and Mallory McMorrow came out and pushed this line. Okay. Haley Stevens came out, or Mallory McMorrow first came out and pushed this line that Abdul was, unserious, dangerous, chumming it up with a radical terrorist. And that was when her campaign started collapsing. You can literally see it. Anyway, yeah, we saw this. This is from April. Senate poll showing McMorrow voters' second choice is 55% Stevens, 25% to Syed. But again, and I think... yeah, McMorrow has been a force in Michigan and seemed to have real camaraderie with Abdul El-Sayed early on. We'll see if that extends to now. No, there was reporting that centrist Dems in D.C. were pressuring her to drop out and endorse Stevens. And I think she just dropped out, but did not endorse Stevens. That might change. But yeah, that poll is the let's say the pre-Hasanabi Hex poll. At what point does the AIPAC machine move on from Stevens to focus on in the general? Is there really that much belief in Stevens? Right now, the AIPAC machine is not trying to get Stevens elected. because the AIPAC machine doesn't care. The AIPAC doesn't care if Haley Stevens is the candidate or if it's Mike Rogers. They just want the pro-Israel person to win. So what they're doing right now is putting a quote-unquote progressive spin or a Democrat spin on the attacks. That's why they don't mind wasting away $30 million on the race for Haley Stevens. They just don't want Abdul to win the primary. But if Abdul wins the primary, then all of that money that they spent is not actually going to be a waste at all. One might think, oh, well, from AIPAC's position, they just backed the wrong horse, like Haley Stevens lost. That's not a waste at all from their perspective because they're agnostic to party affiliation. As a matter of fact, most of the major donors on AIPAC's side are actually right-wingers. They're like Trump voters. They're super right-wing, right? But they are right-wing, but they only care about one issue. They care about Israel. So the negative attack ads that they're positioning right now can be utilized by Mike Rogers and the general. And Mike Rogers can say, see, even Democrats didn't trust you. You should vote for me instead. It's not going to work because obviously people are unbelievably polarized and they hate Donald Trump. They want to punish Donald Trump. They want to hold Trump accountable. They know that the way to do that is by a Senate majority, which is why we're predicting a blue wave year. And it would have been a blue puddle if it wasn't for these fucking progressive candidates. I'm telling you that right now. I was very worried in the beginning of these primaries that this was going to be a blue puddle. I think it's going to be a blue wave because of the progressive candidates that have a tremendous amount of grassroots momentum and excitement behind them, right? Big Gretch already said she won't endorse anyone in the Senate primaries, but that doesn't mean anything. That can change. Can you explain rat fucking? Dude, what? Rat fucking is just like trying to shank someone, okay? Trying to ruin someone's chances. How is that? Are you fucking serious? Like you don't understand the simplest of all concepts? It's right there, man. Are you 12? Backstabbing, okay? Trying to ruin someone's run by coming out of left field, out of nowhere, and deciding to harm their chances. Elizabeth Warren staying in the race in 2020 when she knew she was going to lose her own state to Bernie Sanders in an effort to split the progressive lane was a rat fucking. Okay? That's what it was. Mallory McMorrow dropping out to solidify her support, however much of her support she can, to back Haley Stevens would be a rat fucking. Sometimes you guys can just Google things, okay? You don't have to ask me everything. I'm not your one-stop shop for Google. Yeah, Barack Obama calling all the centrist Dems in 2020 to solidify support as they saw Bernie Sanders rising through the primaries was a rat fucking. They all dropped out piece by piece and endorsed Joe Biden. Chill out, dog. What's your problem? Sorry. I'm a little tense. Yeah. Here is an American slang term for behind-the-scenes covert political sabotage or dirty tricks, particularly pertaining to elections. It was brought to public attention by Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein in All the Presidents Met in 1974, the book that chronicled their investigative reporting of the Watergate scandal. Okay? There's literally a Wikipedia page for it. That's why I said you can Google it. Anyway, I really do hope Elizabeth Warren backs Abdul al-Sayed. This would be very helpful. We're not Googling rat fucking, you idiot. No, it's not. How do I bake a cake? So how do I bake a cake? Okay, fine. Take 5 minutes. Yes, rat fucking has a very specific meaning to politics. But yeah.
It's not that crazy, or not as crazy as Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson wants you to think it is. That is the message in a new ad running throughout this July 4th weekend from the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. It is a political action committee that identifies itself as a million-member.
Yeah, the Progressive Change, the PCCC also is low-key a rat fucker. Adam Green actually was a big Warrenite, a big Warren endorser. They also cooked Bernie at the time, and now they're kind of taking credit over the DSA plank, the DSA policy platform, to make it seem as though, you know, Mike Johnson is talking about Peace CCC. It's fine because they have a lot of money, so I'm not that frustrated by it unless they use that money faucet against us. Okay?
grassroots organization building progressive power at the local level, at the state level, and at federal levels. Watch this.
They put this on paper. They're saying the quiet things out loud. Abolish the Electoral College.
Damn straight.
Replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy.
Yep.
Expand the House of Representatives.
That's right.
Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people.
Hell yeah.
Y'all, it goes on and on and on.
So it's interesting, like I said, because like all three of the candidates that they use on this are DSA. They're DSA cadre candidates too. Like that's what's so well. I guess Maylot really isn't, but she's or is she? I don't know how long Maylot was in the Democratic Socialists of America, but regardless, doesn't matter.
Those people you just saw, Chris Rabb and Claire Valdez and Maylot Quiros were the ones in that clip. All three are progressive.
I know she's DSA, chatters. I know Maylot is DSA. I just meant like, is she? Maylot was endorsed by DSA National more than Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're all DSA. They're all
we had Quiros
straight
on the
up
show,
DSA candidates
last week, and all three just won their primaries. Their point that these are not crazy ideas. They are winning messages.
She's been around, but she's not cadre. Like Claire Valdez is longtime DSA. Zohran Mamdani is longtime DSA. There's a difference. Like there's a difference between like a cadre candidate versus someone who is a member who is a candidate versus someone who is endorsed by the DSA. For some of the local DSA chapters, they don't even demand that you be a member to get endorsed. They don't even demand you be a socialist to get endorsed. Some chapters like San Francisco won't endorse anyone unless they are at least openly a socialist or running as a socialist, which I don't think is bad. I mean, these are different strokes for different folks.
Like Maylot Quiros told me on this program last weekend. These ideas are resonating with people.
Yeah, cadre is someone whose main organizing home is DSA versus someone who became a member via other organizing and then got endorsed. Yes.
And while centrist Democratic candidates are also winning their primaries, the progressives and even the Democratic Socialists, they're having a moment. It is undeniable. That is why a whole lot of eyes are on Michigan right now to see what happens in the Democratic Senate primary there.
What do you mean by cadre? We already explained it. Someone whose main organizing home has been the Democratic Socialists of America, someone who's actually run as a DSA candidate in like a local position, someone who's been there for a much longer time.
The field is made up of...
And yes, DSA can endorse a non-socialist. Yes, and sometimes they do. Are people just fucking with me today? Now they're just like, can you Google, can someone Google cadre, please? Can you explain to us? Can you explain to chat what rat fucking is again? There's just, what is happening? Is this chat GPT time? Is that what it is? What the fuck's going on? No, you're just being baited more than usual. That's what's going on, isn't it? That's what's up. I'm getting cooked right now. I'm getting cooked.
Congresswoman Haley Stevens, State Senator Mallory McMorrow, and Abdul El Sayed, a former Wayne County health official. This is a hot race, hotly contested, and it has the Democratic Party split there. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and other moderate Democrats have backed Haley Stevenson. You might have seen that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just gave a boost to Abdul El Sayed, who already has the backing of Bernie Sanders. And Abdul El Sayed joins me now, fresh off of that AOC endorsement. He is running in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary. Welcome to the show.
I guess this interview was before McMorrow dropped out.
Jacob, thanks for having me.
Shout out to Liz Smith with another banger campaign. Look, I don't want to say what I want to say about that. I just think that some of these people have bad instincts, okay? They have great connections with a lot of mainstream media outlets. They can put their candidates in those outlets and get them favorable coverage, but they're just not very good as political operators. And Liz Smith is one of those people. Like, she's big Pete Buttigieg booster. She's got her fingers in the James Tallarico pile right now, and I'm definitely worried about that. Okay, Neera Tanden is another one that's just like, it's just not good. It's just not. Oh God, and these people fucking hate me too. I don't want them to hate me. I just want them to stop getting in the way. Okay, I want them to stop getting in the way of progress. Like, maybe they legitimately believe that their worldview is the smart adult choice, or maybe they're just backed by corporate entities, and that's the reason why they just like constantly get their candidates to run in this like very weird, very careful way that comes across as insincere for many voters. But it's just, come on, please, we can't. I want to defeat the Republican Party. I want to defeat Republicans. I want to make sure that no one ever wants to vote for a Republican ever again. Okay.
It's good to have you here. I think everybody knows Michigan is not New York, and it's not Denver even. What makes you confident that you can win not only this primary, but the critical election come November?
Jacob, I kicked off this campaign back in April of 2025. Since then, I've done 450 public events across 110 different cities. I could be in a living room in Lansing. I can be in a town hall in Detroit, a church in Escanaba, a VFW hall in Manistee. No matter where I go, people say the same thing. It just shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to afford my groceries. Shouldn't be this hard to pay my rent or believe I could ever own a home. Shouldn't be this hard to see a doctor. Shouldn't be this hard to pay my taxes and know that that money is going to be spent on me or my kids instead of dropping bombs on somebody else and their kids. That is the same frustration I think we're hearing echoing up and down the country right now. And they want politicians who aren't focused more on the direction of a political party and focused more on whether or not they're going to be able to afford their lives. That is true in Michigan. It's true in Colorado. It's true in New York. And I think we're seeing a lot of movement right now because politicians that are actually paying attention to the lives of the constituents they want to serve are succeeding.
Yeah, that they are. And you just picked up this endorsement from, as I mentioned, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's her first time in this primary cycle weighing in to a contested Senate election. What's your hope that her endorsement will do for you?
Well, this is somebody who's been leading at the forefront of the fight to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, and pass Medicare for all. That is what I'm running to do here in Michigan. Given her leadership as a strong, capable leader and the fact that she has established what it looks like for a generation to talk through and connect across a number of different generations. What she represents, I think, is true to the ideals that Michiganders want to see and also what is expressed. She's speaking to the frustrations that I'm hearing up and down my state. And so we're trying to build a movement where we get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all. A lot of people want to say, oh, is this far left or where does this stand on some ideological spectrum? But most Michiganders aren't asking about an ideological spectrum. They're asking, how am I going to afford gas to get to work? And is that job going to be there for me tomorrow and tomorrow again? Can I get health care if I get sick? And the answer, unfortunately, for too many people is no. And we're leading a movement to try and address that by getting money out of politics so our politics can finally be of the people, by the people, and for the people again.
We're seeing one of the first negative ads come out against you, and this happened in Colorado, too. I talked to Mila Kuros about this last weekend. This ad is from the United Democracy Project. It's a Washington, D.C.-based group that is aligned with AIPAC, and it accuses you of, quote, I want to make sure I get this right, a long history of disrespecting women. But the Detroit Free Press calls the accusations unpersuasive. What's your response to this ad that's airing on Michigan Airwaves right now?
You know, when they can't beat you on the fundamentals, they don't want to have a policy debate. What they do is they attack your character. I know what my leadership has been for folks across our state. You know, I've been in public service here for 10 years. People know my record. But the big question here is, why does an organization that wants to send our money abroad to go and drop bombs on women and children, to back a genocidal foreign government, why are they attacking me? Well, because they know that I want to keep our money here to invest in women's health here and childcare here. And they know that they can't beat us on the fundamentals of the debate. They know that their position is fundamentally unpopular, but they have tens of millions of dollars to spend. They've already spent $30 million in this race to beat me. They realized that they couldn't beat me by just pushing up their chosen candidate. And so now they're trying to attack my character. But Michiganders know better. They know who I am. I've been in public service here for a while. My work has been about serving women and children. And so
we'll never support any candidate who proudly campaigns with Hassan Piker ever. Dude, that's so crazy to me. You are cattle. You have cucked yourself for no reason. I don't understand how you make a decision off of a fucking Twitch streamer like this. I like, it's so funny that these people are just positioning themselves in this way for no reason. You don't have to make an enemy out of me. You don't have to bring me up at all. You don't have to openly admit that your motivation here is a deep desire to hate on a fucking Twitch streamer. It's so stupid. I don't understand it. I would never be like, I will never support any candidate who proudly campaigns with Shannon Watts. You know what I mean? Like you want to know why I would never say that? Because it's fucking stupid. That's a stupid thing to say. Why wouldn't you simply support candidates that agree with your worldview? If a candidate campaigns with you and care about the policies. Bro, she worked at Monsanto and health insurance companies and she wasn't doing political activism. It's odd. It's not odd she hates you. It's pro-corporate consistency. Her worldview doesn't align with yours. I know. Dude, I know that. Okay? I know that already. I'm saying how stupid it is for her to like identify this as a way to come across like as a serious person. Do you not get it? I know why. I know why she feels the way that she does. I'm just saying, like, it's a dumb thing to openly admit. It immediately betrays whatever kind of like sincere policy position that you might have had, or your presentation is diminished. Your position of authority as a sincere political activist is immediately diminished. These people are the hutches of the political world, but the reality is she is the problem. These people are the hutches of the political world. I agree. It's just kind of crazy that they are like leaning into this as though there is a robust political constituency here. There is none. This admission basically might get you some likes on Twitter because there's also like equally brain poisoned weirdos on this platform. But in the real world, if you were running around and being like, this guy is no good, this fucking Twitch streamer, if you were door knocking in Michigan and you were like, hey, I just want you to know this guy Abdul El Sayed, he's no good. Don't worry about his policies. He's no good because he's campaigning with a fucking Twitch streamer. They'd be like, get the fuck off my porch. I don't care. The fuck are you talking about, man? What kind of baby brain nonsense is this? Put the fucking policies in the bag. Am I crazy for this take? I feel like it's just it's the simplest take of all time. Are there some weaknesses how DSA or DSA adjacent candidates are running their campaign? How do you fix it? If you said this about Kamala, they would attack you for it. It would make more sense. Kamala Harris is not a random fucking Twitch streamer. Kamala Harris was the vice president. Like, I wouldn't say that regardless. But do you understand? Like, at least she's in a position of power, right? That's why I'm saying it's dumb. You were proven right when they tried it to DA. What a lot of these guys also don't understand is like, I'll be honest, regardless of how much I've been like shaking things up, there's a very high likelihood that I will probably go back to the DNC in 2028. Okay. So I don't know I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what they think is going to happen. Like, I'm not going to fucking go away. Okay. There's a very high likelihood that not only will I go back to the DNC, but there's a very high likelihood that the candidate that I want to run for president will be running for president. Okay. So I don't know if you have the capacity to understand where things are going in American politics or not. But, if you want a longer track record, a proven and tested track record, you should probably stop making these idiotic decisions. McMorrow made a press release against Haley Stevens like last month. Yeah, I think I will see. Yeah, DSA officially has over 120,000 members, by the way. Congratulations to the Democratic Socialists of America. Yes, of course, Dana Nessel endorsed Haley Stevens. She's a fucking pro-Israel stooge herself. Why does she deserve this much attention? Is she a significant person? No, but I think she's not. She's utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. However, she's very relevant because she is a placeholder for a specific type of Democratic Party consultant. So when I'm actually like criticizing Shannon Watts, when I'm complaining about her, I'm not just talking about Shannon Watts. I'm talking about like a lot of these paid consultants that try to present themselves as like total independent thinkers who are unbiased and making the best decisions or whatever. They don't have real constituencies, but the constituencies that they have are the most important because they have the ear of candidates. They have the ear of other consultants, right? And unfortunately, these are the guys that still make or break elections for the most part. At least the ones that we can't touch, the ones that we're not involved in. Do you see what I mean? Lesson learned. The Elizabeth Warren progressive but not that progressive lane is dead end almost everywhere in the country. Also, declaring war on Hassan Piker is a terrible idea in a Democratic primary. There are very few places where a Warren Dem can outpace the Bernie economic populace in a primary. Very wealthy, white, college-educated areas with disproportionate number of postgrad degrees. That's pretty much it. Anyway, let's see what Mallory's take was as she announced that she's dropping out of the race.
Today, I'm announcing that I am suspending my campaign for United States Senate. And I'm doing it with a deep, deep sense of gratitude for our thousands of volunteers, for everyone who donated what you could, building a campaign with zero corporate PAC dollars, for my staff who built this team up from nothing. I thank you. For my family, for Ray, who believed in me long before I ever believed in myself, and for Noah, our 5-year-old who presses her hands up against the window to wave goodbye every morning when I leave for work. Remember, Mom, she reminded me recently, it's not about if you win. It's about trying hard and having fun. She's right. So I want to be very clear about what this announcement is not. I may be suspending this campaign, but I am not leaving the fight. I never planned on politics. After the 2016 election, I felt lost. I picked up my phone and I typed 5 words into the search bar: how to run for office.
I'm going to be honest. I would have expected Haley Stevens to be like, Hassan Piker is a terrorist. It did come as a surprise to me when she came out and said that. Because my frustration with her was that she's like a Connie Chen, right? Like I would be fine, or a Daniel Biss. And I think a lot of people were also making that calculation as well. Like I thought, Daniel Biss is a guy that I don't think is going to be bad. He's not the most progressive guy, but he is far from the worst person in the makeup of the Democratic Party's House of Representatives talent field, right? Like Daniel Biss will be a relatively progressive. Daniel Biss is going to be a relatively progressive representative. Okay, he is for sure. He's going to be inoffensive. He's going to be good at times, and sometimes we're going to be annoyed with him, right? I thought Mallory McMorrow was of the same crop. I thought Mallory McMorrow was basically like a J Street liberal style person, right? Someone who will probably, when push comes to shove, still be a Pino, but not this much of a, will not engage in certain things. Yeah, Biss is good people. He's running that Warren lane specifically because Evanston is exactly that overrepresented post-grad educated demographic you're talking about. He's more based than he lets on. References 2018 governor campaign. His 2018 governor campaign was highly critical of Israel at a time when no one was, but also literally dropped his DSA lieutenant governor because Israel got mad at him. So that's what I mean. Biss never attacked you? No, he never did. Like there's varying degrees of this sort of somewhat progressive, like moderate progressive lane, where you have the Daniel Biss, you have the Connie Chen, and then you have Mallory McMorrow. And Mallory McMorrow, unlike Connie Chen, even though Connie Chen also called me a racist, said I was an anti-Asian racist, whatever, it doesn't really matter. At least Connie Chen wasn't stupid enough to literally turn around and be like, oh, this guy's an anti-Semite, okay? Because I feel like if she were to do that, then one, it's wrong, okay? But also, 2, it would have made her look like she's pro-Israel. And she was smart enough to not make that mistake. Mallory McMorrow, on the other hand, I think leaned far too much into her consultants instead of just like endorsing her own position, her own moral convictions, her own values, her own worldview, and channeling whatever that might be. She came across as too calculated, too manicured, and too wishy-washy, insincere. That's the problem.
And here's what I learned. When regular people get in the fight, things can change. In my very first election, we flipped a district against the incumbent. 4 years later, with so many of you, we flipped the Michigan Senate for the first time in nearly 40 years. And we didn't stop at winning. We repealed Michigan's abortion ban. We raised wages. We made sure every child gets breakfast and lunch at school. We made it easier to go to college. We expanded civil rights, voting rights, and so much more. These wins took thousands of us. showing up every single day, refusing to give up when there were setbacks. That's why I'm staying in this fight and why I need you to stay in it with me. Now, I haven't been shy about calling for new leadership and a better Democratic Party.
Look, I just turned on Twitter and immediately, dogs of Israel, bark! Bark for me! Look at these fucking dogs, okay? Immediately, American Enterprise Institute twink, former American Enterprise Institute twink, Syrian, the one that was like Mr. Regime Change. He's like the #1 defender of like he was one of the primary people that immediately said I was like pro Bashar al-Assad. I never was. Okay. And everyone ate that shit up. They don't even know that this guy's from a right-wing pro-war think tank, American Enterprise Institute. Okay. Within minutes, Hassan fans dunking on McMorrow while Hassan himself simultaneously begs her to endorse Abdul. Great encapsulation of this race. The Michigan primary is about to get even nastier as Abdul al-Sayed fans double down on their misogyny. Nasty little fucking perverts, dude. Nasty motherfuckers. Oh my God. You guys are poisonous. You're poison to the democratic process. You're poison to progress. I am so fucking annoyed with these people. God damn it, dude. And they, win or lose, they still chirp. Okay? Look, another one of these guys. Mason McCann. This sucks because she was easily my favorite candidate this cycle and would have been an S-tier senator. Unfortunately, she got caught between moderate with tens of millions of dollars and a Bernie-backed sloppulist who both squeezed her out. I hope she succeeds elsewhere. I can't begin to explain to you how much I fucking despise these people because these people have electoral autism, right? Like they care about elections more than most other people do. I also have that same style of autism as you guys already know, right? We're here day in, day out covering elections. Whether people are invested in them or not, it doesn't matter. Okay? But they have that electoral autism and they're wrong. And they're just fucking wrong. Like, how do you not realize, like, oh, well, this was a S-tier candidate. Okay, if she was a S-tier candidate, why the fuck's she dropping out right now? If she's a S-tier candidate, why do the voters not see what you saw? Perhaps you don't understand what candidates are good as you previously thought you did. I hate this annoying ass weaponization of hollowed out identity politics that only seems to go in one direction, just the left flank. Republicans will do this to centrist Democrats. Centrist Democrats will do this to their left flank. It's so fucking annoying. Okay? We have to do away with this nonsense. It's the same Bernie bro shit. Okay? Remember the Bernie bros? Bernie bros are so toxic. Bernie bros are so toxic. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You do this because you have no fucking policies. I hate it. It's so fucking annoying. And most voters hate it too.
I mean it. The energy is there. People are crying out for change. And we owe it to them to listen. Then we need to build it up together from the ground up. So here's what we do next. Every day through November 3rd, we win this Senate seat. And we send Mike Rogers back to Florida for good. Whoever wins this primary on August 4th will have my full support. Then let's elect Jocelyn Benson as our next governor.
I mean, I think this is somewhat of a fuck you to the Haley Stevens side because, like, the expectation from the centrists is probably for her to fall on her sword and solidify support behind Haley Stevens, right? Like, that's what the establishment Democrats wanted. Centrist Democrats were demanding that she drop out. Anyway.
Let's flip the state house and expand our majority in the state Senate. Let's elect Democrats up and down the ticket and show the rest of the country what it means to fight like Michigan. 10 years ago, I started this work heartbroken, typing 5 words into a search bar. And I learned the only thing that has ever really changed this country. Ordinary people who love something enough to fight for it. I love this country. I love Michigan. And I love the little girl who waves at me from the window every morning, trusting the grown-ups to leave her a state and a country worth inheriting. That's who I'm fighting for. And I'm not going anywhere. I hope that you'll join me. Today,
she has a nice Germanic jaw. Olivia Wilde tier. Olivia Reingold tier, too. Will be fascinating to see who she endorses. Elizabeth Warren will be pushing hard for Abdul. The consulting class and Dem establishment in Washington would be pushing hard for Stevens. Would not be surprised to see Warren campaign for Abdul in Michigan this month regardless. Yeah, I hope Elizabeth Warren comes out swinging. You're obsessed with her? Olivia Reingold? Yeah. Here's what Abdul said. I don't think it's going to. Look, you can't be hating on Mallory McMorrow unless she endorses Haley Stevens, at which point then it's like perfectly valid, obviously. But you can't be hating on Mallory McMorrow if I'm not hating on her. And she's the one who literally called me, Nick Fuentes equivalent dangerous figure in American politics at a time when the fucking Trump administration is actively coming after me. So, we want her supporters to support Abdul. Okay. Have a little bit more tact.
I just learned that Senator McMorrow has decided to suspend her campaign. I just want to say to her family, everybody involved in that campaign, her supporters, thank you for the work that you did for democracy. Our democracy runs on people putting in that kind of effort. None of a question, despite our policy differences, whether or not Senator McMorrow would show up to fight for my daughters and hers. But the question to all of us now is this. Are we willing to allow AIPAC, big corporations, Chuck Schumer, to show up and rig our democracy, to choose who our Democratic nominee is going to be? They spent $30 million to drown her out. Now they're spending millions to attack me. This is all in an effort to cherry pick from Washington, D.C. or New York who gets to be the Democratic nominee for Senate from Michigan. I think we get that choice. So I'm asking everybody who supported her to support us now. Our movement is one of joy about the future we can have when we get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all. And for all the folks who've been with us all along, thank you for everything. But right now is the time to double down. So if you haven't made that contribution yet, this is the time. If you haven't done that shift that you've been thinking about doing, now is the time. It is us, the UAW, Bernie Sanders, AOC, the nurses, working families, against the oligarchs, big corporations, AIPAC, Chuck Schumer. We know we can win, but we need you.
Yeah. Abdul is classy. Noted. The voters seem split on who to support now, but I see a few more for Abdul so far. Abdul El-Sayed, class act. Abdul El-Sayed, you're such a class act. We're sending you straight to Washington. Abdul El-Sayed, very classy. You have my vote all along. We need you. Abdul El-Sayed, if you should win the primary, you will earn my vote if Mallory becomes your running mate, if she'd be willing. I guess I'm a Mallory supporter for Abdul El-Sayed. Let's do this. This is a shocker. We've been following the Mallory McMorrow campaign for some time. Like, it's crazy that Mallory McMorrow literally was like, Abdul El-Sayed's a dangerous terrorist, and her fans are just like, yeah, we like him. We like him a lot.